You've got questions, we've got answers. It's Kevin and Frank from Cruising with Wheels. Stick around and see if we answered your question, or maybe you're the super cruiser today.
Oh my God, I can't believe it's Q&A number 20.
I know, don't you love doing these Q&As?
Gosh, how fast they accumulate.
I love doing the Q&As because we love helping people.
A lot of questions out there that need to be answered.
We are a treasure trove of cruising knowledge.
Oh God, let's hope so.
Well, and sometimes our subscribers help too,
Oh,
right?
absolutely they do. They are really part of the process. And that's why when everybody gets together on our Facebook page, Cruising with Wheels, or my Facebook group, Cruise Chat, everybody's there to ask questions and help everybody out. And and then we get private messages, emails that people send us,
Snapchat, Instagram messages.
Yeah, it comes from
it's crazy
everywhere, and we want to share it with all of you.
Have you seen the numbers? Have you seen how we've grown and what our subscribership is at? It is amazing. So if you all haven't been subscribed, you really should subscribe, because then you won't miss any of our Q&As, right?
I know.
Well, why don't we get to some of these questions and help these people out?
All right. Well, the first one, let's see. This was a direct email to us from Ron.
Oh, Ron. Hi, Ron.
Yep. Ron has a question. It says, "Hey guys, it's been crazy on my end, but a quick question. What does the Norwegian Cruise Line supply for the bathroom items per day, or do we need to take our own shampoo or body wash?" Because Ron is going to be on the NCL Joy to Alaska very soon. I know.
Well, the NCL Joy is the sister ship to the NCL Bliss, and as everybody may or may not know, I don't know, I say everybody knows, but we were on the inaugural cruise of the Bliss. Yeah. I will link that playlist above our little heads.
Yeah, big old ship.
But as I recall, on most of our, well, actually on all of our sailings on NCL, there is in the shower, right?
In the shower, mounted on the walls, there are dispensers
of shampoo, conditioner.
Right.
And some ships we've been on, it's been shampoo, conditioner combination, and a body wash.
Right.
And in some ships, there have been 3.
Yes.
Where it's shampoo, conditioner, and then body wash. Right. But very often, too, there's additional amenities, right?
Excuse me, yes. Absolutely, you're going to find...
but they're not always the same.
Not always the same, but you'll find some lovely designer soaps and
hand lotions.
And all sorts of little gifty things.
Right. Now, that's on NCL.
Right.
But on some of the other cruise lines we've been on, they do like a rotating basket, which I thought was a really nice touch, where they would include a razor or a toothpaste, deodorant, just
it's
little
really,
things.
really nice.
Yeah.
But in certain cases, now we'll use, obviously, us as an example. We bring our own body soap bar. Okay, we bring our own body soap bar that we use at home, and we're not necessarily in need of any kind of shampoos or conditioner. So, for us, it's, but for those of you...
If we did, I'd bring my own, because I'm a hairdresser.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I was going to say, is for those of you who are just... beautiful locks of hair, we know you're going to bring your own products. Of course you are, because we would too. So whatever it is that you're comfortable at home, I'm sure you're going to bring that. But hey, for those of you that really don't care, the cruise ships provide it in the bathrooms.
Now, the second question is also regarding NCL, and it comes from Matt, and it was via Facebook. And he wrote us and asked, does NCL still have double points booking for sailings more than 6 months out? So I'm assuming what he's asking is if he books his cruise 6 months or greater, is he going to get double points for Latitudes Rewards.
Right. I would assume that's the question.
Right. And I know that you answered him and you said no unless it's part of a particular
Well,
promo offer.
way back, and we certainly have experienced and partaken of the double points, or even in some cases it was a triple point, wasn't there one time?
Well, it's going to all depend.
And on it's going to depend on whatever is happening that the cruise line is offering, but generally...
So I'll explain it to him a little bit how it works. So it used to be...
Right, used
to be that you'd get double points if you booked your sailing 6 months or more in advance. Or it was actually 9 months. 9 months plus.
Right.
They did away with that particular part of the Latitudes Rewards program. So now the way that it's structured for your points is you will get a point for every day that you're sailing. So if we're going to do easy math, we're going to say it's a 10-day cruise.
Okay.
So you'll get 10 points for sailing 10 days. Your points will not show up until the end of the sailing and it's done and over with and you're home already. You can get an additional point if you book a suite. You can also get an additional point if it's a special promotional fare, which would be called a Latitudes Rewards fare. And so in the instance where you said we received 3 points on a cruise, on a sailing, we had booked it 9 months in advance, so we got those extra points.
Right.
But it was a Latitudes Rewards offer, so we got an extra point.
Right.
And
we were working
I can't remember why we got the extra one, but we ended up getting 33 points.
Was it because
for the
we went to a balcony?
No, I don't remember. No.
I just remember that it was like a 7-day cruise, and we ended up with 21 points each.
Yes, there was a 7-day cruise where we got 21 points, and then there was another cruise where we got 33 points.
It's like, whoa, we were working it.
I think that was an 11-day cruise.
It depends on the promotion. It depends on the cabin you've booked.
Right.
But it's no longer an automatic.
It's no longer
standard
automatic.
Set. If you cruise this early, you get double or whatever. That is gone. So there's now a lot more factors involved in how you will earn those points.
Now, the next question, why don't you go ahead and read that?
Okay. Well, the next one comes from Eddie from Facebook. Me and my fiance have booked a July 7th Bermuda cruise. Awesome. A week after our wedding. We're going Tuesday to fill out our passports, but will us getting married affect anything? Should we wait until after the cruise to have her last name changed to mine? Our cruise tickets are already booked with her maiden name. So I'm confused on what will happen once we're married. Well, once you get married, I do, I love you, kiss, kiss, hug, hug, let's go eat and have cake. That has nothing to do with any legal documents in your names.
Right. You have to separate yourself from
the event.
The thought of, because it's a big step. I mean, let's talk a little bit about us. Okay. We're married. It was a big deal for us to get married, and we're a family, so we want to have the same last name, right? So the point comes where when you get married, there's no charge to change your name. If you've already gotten married and you want to change your name, it's going to cost you. So we decided when we got married, we're going to change our names, right?
Right.
And it was a big deal to say, oh my God, we're married and I'm so-and-so now. However, you have to get past that, I'm happy and now I have this new name, because you don't want to change any of your documentation, right? Like you were saying, because you've already booked the cruise and it's already in her maiden name.
Right. So if your maiden name is Mary Jones and you just married John Smith,
and now you're Mary Smith.
Yeah, you're not married. You're not really Mary Smith on your driver's license yet,
On your passport.
because you haven't changed it.
On your credit card.
You haven't changed it.
Leave everything alone until you get
Come
back.
back.
Okay.
This way, your passport, your driver's license, everything matches the original booking. I think you can live for 7 days on a cruise, or 10 days on a cruise, and then when you come back, you can do what we did, which is just start changing all your documents and credit cards and doing all that stuff. There really is no rush if you're doing I'm getting married and going on a cruise the next day.
Or the next week.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter.
It really is no big.
Now, what we do want to tell Eddie is that you should, when you get back, one of the first things that your wife should do is notify the passport authorities and change her last name on the passport as soon as possible, because the window of time, well, it's not how long it takes per se is what I'm getting at. The window of time is you only have a year to change your name for free.
For free.
So if your passport is over a year old and you've gotten married, you're going to have to pay the whole shot, kit and caboodle again to get your passport over again. That's all I wanted to say to them. And we can say too, there is another way that this can all be done, but I don't want to confuse anybody.
I just don't think that there's a major trauma and a rush to worry about changing your home documents.
Right.
Because 24 hours after you were Mary Jones, you became Mary Smith.
And I know it's an exciting time and you want to do it, but just wait.
There really is no crazy rush to make yourselves insane about it. You just worry about it later.
I wonder if they saw our live stream.
I don't know.
Because Eddie, if you didn't see our live stream and you're watching this, you need to watch our live stream from May where we announced that we're going to Bermuda.
Oh my God. Leave us a note. We'll find it. We'll do a scavenger hunt. Leave us some clues. We're going to be on the island of Bermuda. Yep.
It'll be really, really fun. We can't wait to go.
Yeah, I haven't been to Bermuda since the late 70s, and I just flew there for a couple of days for like a 4-day vacation. It was off season. It was a little chilly. I was still on the beach, but yeah, I am be happy to get back there. And we're not sure yet whether we'll have company with us or not. So we'll have to wait and see.
And the next question comes from James via Facebook, and he writes, "So ladies and gentlemen, I want your take on something. A friend of ours is going on a 7-day cruise, and the only port they're going to is Bermuda." Oh, another Bermuda!
It is.
And they're in Bermuda for 4 days. I personally don't think that is a cruise. What's your guys' opinion?
Right, and I have to say that
Were you saving our announcement for this?
No, I wasn't, but I have to say that prior to all of this, I had really agreed with James.
Yeah.
And thought that, Bermuda, what, the ship leaves the port, goes to Bermuda, and sits there for like 4 or 5 days. What kind of vacation cruise is that? That's what I had in my head.
Well,
so I can see where people kind of question that.
And I think, because we answered James' question not a while back, but, a little ways back. And I think that kind of, the responses that you all gave kind of helped
influenced us into
Yeah.
taking the plunge when we saw that Royal Caribbean cruise, 5 nights to Bermuda. The fact that James brought that question to light, encouraged everybody to give their comments and opinions, really pushed us to say,
they were so positive.
Yeah, everybody was very positive.
So I guess what we should tell them how we answered. We answered saying that everyone has different cruising styles. And even Frank and I enjoy different things on a cruise.
And
then
you're on a cruise ship, so yeah, it's a cruise.
Yeah, you still have a day sailing there and a day sailing back.
Yep.
The thing to remember that when you're cruising to Bermuda is the ship is your hotel, right? It's not only your transportation to get there.
It is your floating hotel.
And while you're there, you're going to eat on the ship if you choose, because that's all included.
Right.
There's the pools. There's going to be activities, just as if you were sailing. And what else? The shows.
Yeah, so it's a cruise.
It's a cruise, whether you're docked there or you're not. And one of the things that we're looking forward to is there's going to be no pressure.
Yeah, I call it port pressure, where it's Tuesday we're at this port, Wednesday we're at the next port, Thursday we're at the next port. That port pressure to perform, to film, to experience. It's like, no,
No.
we're going to Bermuda, and
You know
there
what
we
I
are.
always tell him? I always say, "Don't worry, honey. There'll be another cruise. We'll go there again."
So yeah, I'm kind of looking for the no pressure.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of exciting. But the next one also comes from our James.
Is this the same James?
It's our James, and because he has a question for me, because he knows. Now James says, he says, I know this is not cruise related, but it is cruise related, James, because it involves the cruise shops and all the jewelry and the watches and the things that they sell. And he says,
I like my jewelry.
Yes, he says, I know, Frank, that you collect watches. I do. And he wanted to know if I belong to the Watch of the Month Club that he sees all over Facebook. And what do I think about the prices of watches on the ship? And he said he saw a watch once for like $900. Well, as I said to James, and I quote, I'd cut my arm off first before I'd spend $900 on a watch.
You know what?
That's just me.
You know what I say? That's a cruise.
Yeah, I'm a big collector of the cheap $19.99 watches. That's my speed. $29.99 maybe.
Okay,
But,
so maybe you should. This is a good time where you can tell them
us
all how much I loved you when we met. Remember? Do you remember
Yes.
that? I went to Italy. We both had our vacations already scheduled when we met. And I believe you were going on a Southern Caribbean
I went to
cruise.
a Southern Caribbean with my friends.
And I was going to Italy.
Right.
And while I was in Italy, I was on the island of Capri. And they had a watchmaker there where you could pick every little bit of the watch.
Right, the actual building of a watch.
So I had a watch made for Frank. I picked the stone that they used for the face. I can't remember the name of the stone. It's like Piscina stone or something like that, where it's cut from lava rock.
We will include a picture of it in this video so you can see the watch.
I picked the numbers. I picked the arms. I picked the band, the bezel.
Right.
And it was a very expensive purchase.
Right.
So that he does have some really nice watches.
Yeah. I'm scared to death to wear it. But and on our cruise that we went on, the NCL Jade.
Oh yeah, Dave and Darlene.
Dave and Darlene, Dave bought a watch.
Dave bought a watch.
And yeah, they kill it because a lot of the watches are expensive, but then they have the big sales, and I still think they're expensive. But I remember we saw a watch that was like $600, and when we got home, we saw the same watch.
The same exact watch.
Same watch. It was a diver's watch.
It was the Invicta. It was an Invicta diving watch.
Yes.
I believe it was like called the Ferrari or something like that.
It was in the Invicta
the
case.
yellow Ferrari and
that whole thing. It was like half the price of what it was on the ship. So we're not big believers in the real jewelry.
right.
I'm okay with the cheap watches, but in terms of diamonds and expensive watches, we're a captive audience on the ship, and I'm just not trusting unless we have our jeweler with us.
Right. So I have a client who owns a jewelry store, and she does all of our stuff for us. But I will say to diamonds itself and jewelry, what I've learned from Darlene is that Diamonds International, although they're like cockroaches and everywhere in the Caribbean, they do stand behind their jewelry. She had told me a story about getting a tanzanite, I believe, with diamonds, and something happened to it, and a year later, she ended up being able to exchange it and take care of it, and they stood behind it. So just make sure you're dealing with someone reputable, and if you're thinking you might want to purchase a watch on board a ship.
Don't let me stop you.
Do your due diligence and check out the prices before you go.
Right.
Or, Lord love you, if you have the money and you think it's worth it, just do it.
The bottom line is whatever makes you happy.
Right. Right.
You want to spend $900 on a watch and you've got $900, spend it. Spend it. Get off the ship, have the watch, wear it, enjoy it. Life's too short.
Our next question comes from Celine. Is it Celine? Mm-hmm. And she says, sailing in July with my husband, my 16-year-old son, and 18-year-old daughter, all in the same stateroom. Ooh. Do we all get our own sign and sale cards for our own purchases going on the NCL gem? Well, there is two parts to this question. I noticed that you had a brief answer, but I know we expounded on that.
Of course
so what
we
was
did.
the answer?
Well, the answer is that yes, traditionally, each person gets their own sail and sign card because, again, that is your key card to get into your cabin. That is your purchase card for everything on the ship.
Your identification.
Absolutely. When you get off the ship, you got to put it into the, they have to scan it to get you off.
I call it the doinger.
Yeah, and they have to scan your card to allow you back on. So, and your picture is attached to that card. So when they scan it, your picture comes up. So everybody has to have one. Now, in relation to children.
Well, in relation to children or husbands, or anybody really, that sail and sign card needs to be either funded with cash or attached to a credit card on file. And so when Frank and I go, even though we have separate cards, we have the same credit card attached to it.
It's attached to the same credit card. Now, when I was single and I was traveling with my friend and he booked everything, we shared a cabin. And though we were in the same cabin, obviously we each had a card, but my card was attached to my credit card and his sail and sign card was attached to his credit card. I mean, it would have been nice if it was paying my way, but it wasn't.
So the question you have to ask yourself about your children, because frankly, it's a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old, is, are you going to foot the bill for the 16-year-old and 18-year-old, or are you going to foot the bill for the 16-year-old and make the 18-year-old pay her own way? Or how do you want to handle that?
Right, because there's a lot of ways. Because if you can put limits, spending limits on their cards. Because let's say the 16-year-old, I think he's really into the arcade and the games, and probably is going to be spending a lot of time in the arcade. You can put daily limits on his card so that when he reaches the max, no more spending. If you don't want to do that, and you say, well, you know, my kids really aren't spendthrifts. Like my kids were not spendthrifts. And I'd be like, you know, I really don't need to put limits on them. But as a parent, I check my account every day. So I can see what's being spent. If I see something a little funny, I'll nip it in the bud right then and there. And then maybe I'll put a limit on their account.
He's more generous. I would put a limit on.
Kevin's from the get-go. I'm like, well, you got to know your kids.
Doesn't matter. If they're good kids or not, I put the limit on because then there's no mistakes, right? There's no mistakes. But let's get to the next question, which is from Rob of Facebook. Rob on Facebook, not of Facebook.
I was going to say, does he own Facebook now?
And it's regarding NCL. And he writes, it's the casinos.
Yes.
He said, I received a complimentary NCL cruise from one of the casinos in his area. And he was told that he gets to check in at the Players Club line at the port. I am sailing out of Port Canaveral next February and was wondering if this Players Club line actually exists, and if it does, is it usually just as long as the other lines?
Nothing could be as long as the major general line.
Well, I will put a picture in of the sign that I had sent to him or I had posted, and basically, yes, there is. I think it's
a banner. They have these giant 8-foot banners.
But I think it's hysterical that people doubt it sometimes.
Yeah.
So when you go to, we'll just explain, because every port is going to be different how it's set up. But generally, when you go in, there will be a long line, and you're all going to have to stand through that. I don't care who you are. And
you gotta check
that
in.
Is to get through security.
Yeah.
No, that's
the
security.
the scanning
I'm
process.
telling them step by step.
Oh, okay, the luggage scanning.
So the first is the long line to go through security. Once you've passed through security and they've checked your documents to see, are you really on this cruise? They will direct you and they will say, gee, your thing says you're a casino guest. The line is over there.
Right.
And it'll be marked saying casinos at sea, priority check-in.
Right.
Or like us, Platinum Plus. You go to this line.
Right.
Gold people go to that line.
Or Haven. They have a separate Haven check-in.
Haven is a totally separate area
Right.
to check in.
Right.
But even Haven people have to stand in that long check-in line.
Safety first.
Right, for safety.
No matter whether it's your first cruise or whether you've been on 50 cruises or whether you bought the most expensive Haven suite, everybody goes through security.
So I hope that helps and I hope that answered your question. The next question comes from Camille, and it's regarding the NCL Sky. Now, we were just talking about maybe going on the Sky, so let's see what we can answer on her question.
Now, Siobhan, I haven't cruised in about 20 years, and I'm about to jump back in with Norwegian Sky, doing a Key West Havana Great Stirrup Cay cruise. I was told that the cruise is all-inclusive. Can anyone give me an idea of what alcoholic beverages are included? Now, Camille, just on a note here, she did end up calling NCL and got the answer, but we still want to share this with everybody out there because the Sky is a specific ship, and so they have specific things. So.
Yep, there are actually 2 ships in the fleet right now that are an all-inclusive ships. The Sky is totally all-inclusive, and the Sun has select sailings that are all-inclusive. And the Sky, being an all-inclusive ship, has an open bar, which applies to all sailings that are under 6 days.
Right.
And what alcoholic beverages would be included is anything that would be in your normal unlimited beverage package.
Booze.
So anything, I think there's a cap of $14.95, $15.95, something like that. And then you'll have to pay additionally if you want a premium beverage. But for the most part, guys, you know, the ship's beverages that are in that, you know, $7.50 to $15 range, they're what normally you would drink.
I know.
I mean, unless you are a liquor snob, which there are some out there, or you want to drink a, you know, a 150-year-old glass of bourbon, you know, I really wouldn't worry about it. You should be golden.
Yep.
Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Now, all-inclusive means alcohol.
Right.
Right? So all-inclusive does not mean that you're getting the premium coffees, beverages, unless it has alcohol in it, and then it's included.
Isn't that funny?
It's funny.
How you're thinking, wouldn't it make that item more expensive when they put liquor in it? Yes, it would, but the fact that it has liquor is part of that package and it's free.
Right.
If you wanted just a specialty coffee.
Well, and I also wanted to say that all-inclusive does not mean that the specialty dining venues are free. You still pay for those. But our next question comes from Susan, and it was via Facebook. Hi, Susan. Thanks for messaging us.
Now, this is an issue for a lot of people, and it was for us when we got back into cruising, and it seems to have gotten better. The question is, do they give you enough hangers in the closets in your cabin? Because thinking of bringing some, how many should I bring?
So the way we kind of answered, Susan, was the answer is yes and no. So it's all going to depend. We don't know. Yeah. You're not going to know who was there before you. You're not going to know if they've moved hangers from the closets.
Well, I remember when we started back in 2013, when we jumped back into cruising and we were on the Carnival Victory, there were practically no hangers in the closet. It was
but we had brought hangers.
And when we did that on the Conquest.
Oh, okay.
Because we learned our lesson from the Victory in 2013. And it was like, he had 3 hangers, I had 3 hangers. We're like, this huge closet was no hangers. It was kind of crazy. So we learned. So in 2014, we bought a packet of these really thin wire hangers, very lightweight. They were already packaged, like a pack of 10. And we packed them in our check luggage. And we used them. But since then
we really haven't
2015, 2016, we get there, There seems to be, somebody said something to somebody
Wow.
because it seems to be every cruise we have taken since, there really have been a good amount of hangers.
And I think that part of that is from all the cruise community because, like us, we left the hangers there.
Right. And you will, when you get into your stateroom,
You'll see that there's
you will
metal
open
hangers.
up your closet and you will see the hangers that people have left. Thank you.
Right.
It's
So
very helpful.
if you are concerned, my suggestion would be to buy a dozen hangers, bring them, maybe even, some people even pack their stuff on a hanger,
right.
and then you can just pull it out and go like that.
So
but
bring
them and then leave them.
Yeah,
for the next person.
If we don't have enough hangers in our closet in the cabin, we just decide what items will be drawer items. And we'll say, well, you know what? I can keep these folded in a drawer and these in a drawer, and we'll just hang this. But for those of you who are like, oh no, all my clothes will be hung, then you better bring your own hangers. Well, I don't really care. I'm on vacation.
Hang everything.
No. As soon as an item comes off the hanger to be,
I would fold this.
to be worn, as soon as we wear something and that hanger becomes empty, anything that's folded in a drawer immediately gets hung up on that empty hanger.
It's all about rotation.
Rotation, so it's constantly rotated out of the drawer.
And the wrinkles hang out.
That's right, to the closet for the empty hanger. So, yeah.
Now our final question today comes from India, not the country. It's our new subscriber, and her name is India.
Yep.
And she messaged us on Facebook. And what did she say?
She said, my wife and I are cruising to Alaska in September. Awesome. You'll love it. You'll want to stay and live there. Now, they're going to be on the Grand Princess. They have priority status. They're in a club mini suite. How does embarkation and crew know this about us? Will our card have this information on the front? As first-time cruisers, we need all the information we can get. Now, she says they're older gals in their late 50s. Oh, honey, you're young. And very demonstrative. Good for you, you're going to need it. Will we encounter homophobes on board? Or should we just not be as loving with each other to be safe? Oh, hell no.
Well,
let's just start from the beginning.
I find at first when I read this, because she posted this on our page, and then she immediately sent us a message with the same question, but she included extra details the second time around. So the first time I was like, why she thinks she's going to sneak into the priority line? There's no secret. You're not sneaking in. But now that we know that they are in a club mini suite, that entitles them to priority boarding automatically. And how the cruise line knows is it is attached to your reservation.
Right.
Not only in an instance like Frank and I have with certain cruise lines that we're on and our status entitled us to priority, but in itself, because you're in a club mini suite, they automatically know that you have priority boarding. It will be delineated on your documents.
When you check in.
It will be delineated on your cruise card.
Right, your sail and sign card.
I do want to give everybody a caveat because I don't want to get the comments of, I just was on the cruise and it wasn't on there and we had priority, because in some ships they do it differently than other ships, and some cruise lines do it differently than other cruise lines, and sometimes they do it differently within the same cruise line.
But the bottom line is
they know everything.
They know. That card tells them everything. They scan that card. They know everybody. When you go to dinner and they scan you in, let me sit you down in the dining room. You're going to have dinner at 6 o'clock. Your cabin steward knows you're out to dinner. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows where you are and who you are and what status you are.
Right.
That's just.
So I wouldn't be worried about it. They're going to be swiping that card all the time. They're going to know that you have priority embarkation, priority disembarkation, priority tendering. I believe the club mini suites also give you concierge service. I may be wrong on that.
Make sure you check on that. Always find out, like we do, and I have it in my travel binder. When we attain a different status, I make sure I always have a copy of that cruise line's status sheet. because I want to know what we're entitled to.
Right.
Let's say when we achieved platinum, when we did
Well,
platinum
for them,
plus.
it's their first cruise.
Right. But the fact that they're in a club
she
mini
needs,
suite,
right,
she needs to find out what
what
are the benefits.
exactly is included on your reservation.
And make sure you print that out and have it with you, because if you don't get it, this where that being demonstrative comes in, and you make sure you get it.
Now, in regards to her second part of the question, I answered it, and I basically said, you may or may not encounter homophobes. We've been on cruises where we were attacked, not physically, but verbally attacked. I remember, do you remember that guy?
Crazy
we'll
guy.
just tell that story. You remember the guy at lunch? We were at Guy's Burger Joint.
We were at Guy's Burger. We're sitting at our table, we were looking out the window. And
sitting and eating.
This was a gentleman and his wife sitting at the next table for two, right beside us.
We weren't hanging all over each other.
Well, no, I'm in my wheelchair and he's on the other side of the table, and we're having a Guy's Burger. Not exactly the most intimate, romantic thing going on, but he got up. I think his wife left to do something, and when she was gone.
Well, when she got up, I'm going to interject there real quick, because when she got up, you couldn't see her what she was wearing, but you saw, because you're probably not going to remember this part.
No, probably not.
Is she got up, and in my head I thought, oh God, here we go, because I thought she was coming over to us, because her shirt said, "Cruising for Jesus," or something like that. It was apparently their Bible study or church group was on a group cruise, which is fine. That's up to them, whatever they want to do, fine. So, but I thought, here we go, they're going to come over here, and that energy must have pulled him over.
Yeah, because she walked away, but the husband, walked over to our table and proceeded to tell us to our faces that God did not sanction our marriage and that we as a gay couple were going to hell, and he was going on and on and on. Why would you say this? You're on vacation. Why would you target people and verbally abuse other cruise passengers?
So,
it happens.
It happens, but sometimes it doesn't happen.
Right.
9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen.
No. But again, that experience you're going to experience at home, in a shopping mall, at a grocery store, wherever it is you all go out. It is no different than on a cruise ship. So try not to think about it as...
Try not to think about it, period.
Right. Don't think about it as, will I be safe on a cruise ship? It really doesn't matter.
And speaking to the aspect of should we adjust our behavior, not be as loving, just to be safe.
That's crazy.
I basically said the straight community doesn't adjust their behavior to make us feel more comfortable, because frankly, I feel it's disgusting, no matter if you're straight, gay, or bisexual, to be almost fornicating on by the pool. We've seen those couples. We all know.
With their
faces
tongues down each other's throats and grinding on each other. It's just not appropriate, no matter who you are.
No matter who you are.
Nobody seems to, worry about what we think, so I don't really care what they think.
Exactly.
And if somebody's going to get upset because I go, honey, I need you to go get me some medication, and go, oh my God, he's touching his, how disgusting, you're going to hell. Well, get over yourself.
Get over it.
God, Lord, it's 2019, for the love of God.
So,
move on.
So we hope that helps. And we're going to move on now, right? Mm-hmm. Speaking of moving on. And we're so glad that you could join us for the Q&A.
Another exciting, rousing question and answer.
And we want you to send us your questions. You can email us. You can Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, tweet us. Mm-hmm. You can also join Frank's Facebook group called Cruise Chat and leave your question there. We're all here to help each other have the best cruise we can ever have.
We're scouring social media to get your questions.
But until next time, we always want you to
travel safe
and cruise often.